Okay, so you will have your sketch ready to go, and we're going to transfer it onto the canvas just like we've always done before. You guys don't have the graphite sticks, but a regular pencil will work. You'll probably have to sharpen it a lot, but it'll do. So remember, flip your drawing over. I know some of you probably are going to have tape on the back, but that's okay. You can just go right over the whole thing. Remember to go really thick. You want your graphite to be nice and dark while you're doing this so it's easy to transfer. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this, and then we'll get going with the transfer process. Okay, so that should just about do it. I didn't go everywhere just because I know that there's nothing drawn in this corner. I kind of stuck with where I knew I had objects. So I'm gonna flip it over. If you have a clip or can find something to hold it onto the canvas just so it doesn't slip around, otherwise just try and do this in one sitting. So I'm trying to keep this in view. Remember, a ballpoint pen is going to work a little bit easier for you. And as you guys can see, this is not a detailed drawing. Obviously, I'm making an example. With oil painting, we're going to be building up a lot of layers of colors and paint. So this first kind of drawing, it really doesn't need to be detailed. Basically what we're going to be doing for the first step of painting is blocking in colors for our main objects. So I kept this drawing simple on purpose, just so I could demonstrate it a little bit easier for you guys. But if you have a lot of detailed objects, especially things that are closer, you don't necessarily have to draw those on. You could add them on later. It's up to you. Once you have outlined everything, remember to check, make sure it's transferred before you pull your paper completely off. I can see my lines pretty good. Again, doesn't have to be super detailed for this first part. Now, for the sake of the video, I'm actually going to darken in my lines just so you guys can see them better. This isn't a terrible idea for you guys to do too, especially if your lines are a little bit on the lighter side. Just because this first layer of paint, we want to be able to make sure that we can see our pencil through. So I'm going to kind of darken my objects. And honestly, for things like trees, if you want to simplify the shape, even just make triangles. If you're doing something like a pine tree, or like a lollipop shape for any other kind of tree, that's fine too, because most of it's going to get covered up with multiple layers of paint. And if you didn't like your sketch and you want to just draw something new on the canvas, that's fine too. So now that I have my image transferred to the canvas, we are going to start with what's called the underpainting. And the underpainting is basically a thin layer of paint. It's going to fill in the texture of our canvas, which is really important for oil paint because oil paint is extremely thick. And you've probably noticed that already if you've seen the paint on your plate. It's extremely thick, and so we need to make sure that we get all this texture filled in because it's hard to do that with the oil paint without it diluted. So for this underpainting, we are going to basically block in our main objects. So I am actually going to mix only 4 colors. I'm going to mix a color for the sky, just kind of a base color blue, a color for the mountains, for this grassy area. This is going to be kind of a prairie grass area, meadow type thing, and then a darker green for the trees. So only 4 colors. We want to keep our color palette relatively simple for the underpainting, mostly so we're not wasting paint, and it just makes it a lot easier. So I'm going to get some paint, show you how to mix colors so you know how to mix with oil paint, and then we'll get started with the underpainting.